It's Africa's misfortune, if I may say so. We are not united. We don't see things the same way. Some are afraid, some are hesitant, some are there for the interests of other people. The West, there are people who grew up over there, did everything over there, and then they come and are made heads of state in Africa. So they're the ones who control all of that. And so Africa can't have its own opinion.
Let us talk about another African brother. Yes, he's well loved by millions of Africans all over around the world. We are talking about Captain Ibrahim Traore, the current president of Burkina Faso. This man, he hosted an interview recently which he had given to different journalists who came from all over Africa continent. They were coming in step by step and they were asking him different questions. The interview is very long, but we had selected this particular place where they asked him about his protections and why is he not afraid that this Western that he had declared war against, they will come for him and they will try to eliminate him as they did with many other African leaders. Well, here's what Captain Ibrahim Traore gave as an answer.
Mr. President, as you just said, we're talking about the security and defense of Burkina Faso. Let's talk about your personal security. You just mentioned it a moment ago. The pressure is enormous. It's huge. The danger comes from everywhere. Mr. President, just in 2025, there have been several coup attempts that were foiled. Mr. President, do you ever feel afraid?
Thank you. I think that's the only strength I have. I'm not afraid. Because I trust all of you, that's the first thing. You have to trust the people, because it's the people who entrusted us with this mission. And I trust the people, that they will understand. And that's why we don't hesitate to stand before the people, to explain the situation to them and tell them what's going on. And that helps maintain a very good relationship. That's the first thing. The second thing, as I said, is that there was a mindset that needed to be developed within our own forces. That's very important. Right now, that mindset is there and people understand why they're fighting. If you look back a few years, many officers in the field didn't know why they were fighting. But if we know why we're fighting, who we're up against, and why there's this pressure, people understand better. And that's why we immediately created the Institute, the higher military school, so that we could train our own soldiers and instill in them what we want. Remember one thing, if you let your forces be trained by other powers, they put into their heads whatever they want. They indoctrinate them as they please, and it's easier to manipulate them. Here in Burkina, right now, that's actually what bothers many imperialist powers. They can't manage to infiltrate our army. All these units that have been created, all these men who are here, no one came from elsewhere to train them. We are built on our field experience and we trained them ourselves. I personally took part in training some of these forces at the very beginning. So that's already a second strength. And the other strength is that if you have a mission, a goal for your country, you must not be afraid. If you are afraid, you hesitate. If you hesitate, you compromise. And once compromise sets in, you're done for.
That is Captain Ibrahim Traore. This man remained unshakable in his word, remained more determined and not scared of anything or anyone who want to harm him. But the journalist is not only stopped there. Actually, also asked him a question by giving him some examples of what this imperialism they have done in Africa continent. How the Western they have destroyed a lot of African leaders before him. So he had to remind him that we don't want the history to be repeated again. But is it possible for you to remember what they did to these African leaders?
Earlier, you listed a number of factors that make you feel reassured. I insist because history matters too. It's history that guides us. These imperialist forces, they are real. In 1961, they took out Patrice Lumumba in the DRC. In 1972, they took out Kwame Nkrumah in a different way. And then in 1987, they got rid of Thomas Sankara, always with internal enemies and sometimes with the complicity of certain neighbors. You know what they say, Mr. President? The first duty of a revolutionary is to stay alive in order to continue the struggle. Mr. President, can you please reassure all of these wonderful people, all of these dedicated men and women who are gathered here and elsewhere, who are truly beginning to hope that you will indeed stay alive and continue your important work?
They always manipulate from within. We are very well aware of that. And also, it is our duty to take part in our own security. It's not about saying today that I'm the head of state and I just entrust security to other people. No, everyone takes part. I myself take part. That's why I say it's not just a matter for those who are close to me, it's a matter for the whole people. And security is not just a matter of detained men or whatever else you can imagine. It's a whole system. It's also about behaviors, ways of living. We have to avoid many things, mistakes that may have been made in the past. We have read a lot about everything that imperialism has destroyed, and we have learned many lessons. That's why we say we won't let things repeat themselves. We will anticipate, even if people interpret it however they want, we will anticipate. But that's because we have understood the message, the hope that exists. We will do everything to always stay ahead of imperialism's actions.
Again here, you will notice that Captain Ibrahim Traore stick to his words and more determined, saying that he's not scared and no one will try to stop him from what he had started. But if you pay attention to his last words, Captain Ibrahim Traore make a serious call for everyone out there, not only people of Burkina Faso, but the entire Africa continent, everywhere around the world, that his first security, it is people. Because when the Western wanted to harm someone, they always come and use someone within or people who are surrounding you. And we can all tell the story. For example, people such as Patrice Lumumba, how he was killed. They used someone who was around him. Thomas Sankara, he was killed by his own best friend. And if you look people such as Muammar Gaddafi, all of them, you'll see that they use within people to come and fight you. So Captain Ibrahim Traore is aware about that, and he keep on insisting, saying that in order for history to not be repeated, we need to look after one another. We need to protect one another. We need to stand against this Western in order for them to not come and tell us how to hate our fellow Africans. That message, I think it is something which each and every Africans who believe in the fight of these two African brothers, whether it is Julius Malema or Captain Ibrahim Traore, we need to apply this. Because we know that these people, they could have also fight for their stomach. They could have also fight for power. They could have fight for their different reasons to become rich, as we get to see with different politicians. By the way, tell us where you are watching us from. I believe in your country you have such politicians who are there to fight for their own families. You know, once they become in power, they send their children overseas to study and live a very good life when you continue on suffering. But these African brothers, Julius Malema, Captain Ibrahim Traore, and many more, they choose to fight for the true independence of Africa continent. Such kind of brothers, they need to be protected. But they'll be protected by who? They'll be protected by you and me. They'll be protected by our fellow Africans and everyone who's surrounding them. By understanding that these people, they are willing to sacrifice their life. These people that are willing to abandon their family, their wives, their children, and they want to come and fight for the Africa so that Africa can be free from their former colonial. That's not a joke.